right, so we are currently in Houston, Texas, because we are here to compete in the Houston Hyrox event, which for us is tomorrow. So today is the day before the event for us. Tomorrow we'll be competing in Hyrox doubles.
And if you don't know what a Hyrox is, it's basically a lot of running and a lot of workouts. So it's basically 8 kilometers of running, and then you have 8 different stations of workouts. It's a 1 kilometer run, then you have a ski erg machine of 1,000 meters, a 1 kilometer run. You have a sled push of 50 meters, a 1 kilometer run. You have a sled pull of 50 meters, a 1 kilometer run. Then you have burpee broad jump, y'all's favorite. Yep. We're gonna put some extra burpees in our workouts just for y'all. 1 kilometer run, and then you have rower machine, 1 kilometer run, farmer's carry, 1 kilometer run, walking lunges, and then the last 1 kilometer run before you do wall balls, 100 wall balls. So it's pretty intense. It's a mixture of a lot of strength work and a lot of conditioning. So I think a lot of people go into it, you know, thinking it's a lot of strength, but it's really just endurance. And most of it is running, which we've been doing for the last 3 months or so.
Yeah, so we've been training for 12 weeks, and I think the most fun part about it is we're doing doubles, and so we get to split the exercises, but you still have to do all of the running. But it's different than just going to run 5 miles, right? You're breaking up those 5 miles on compromised legs. So I think that's been the most challenging part of the training, but also is what makes it fun. It's different, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna take you through a full experience. Again, today is the day before. We're gonna do a quick little shakeout run just to kind of get the blood flowing and whatnot. But we want to take you through our journey of our first Hyrox, and then hopefully, you know, we like it enough, we might want to compete and do it again. Yeah. So let's get to it. Let's get this run going. All right, that wraps up the little shakeout run. We did about a 3K.
Yep, we did it a little bit slower than race pace just to get a feel for it, shake it out, get the nerves out, and we feel ready.
It feels good. So thankfully it's not outside, man. I love my city, but Houston, this humidity is crazy. So thank goodness it's inside. I sweat like crazy. We ran less than 2 miles. But we're gonna get showered up, and then we'll take you through just some of our gear, what we're wearing, some nutrition stuff, how we're gonna prep for the race that way. So
let's get into it.
All right, it's race morning. You excited?
Yes. My stomach hurts.
What we got for breakfast?
We got 2 waffles, some fruit, and some eggs. So it's about 4 hours before, focusing more on carbs and less on the protein and fat.
All right, let's eat up.
We're purposely focusing on more carbs because the protein and fat is going to take a little longer to digest. If we were racing later in the day, we'd add more protein and fat, but we race in 4 hours. So then probably like 90 minutes before the race, I'll have like a banana or something, and then 30 minutes or so, we'll have like rice cakes and honey or something like really quick digesting. Something quick digesting too.
All right, my hydration, I'm using Braintree. This is adaptogens and electrolytes. So it just kind of comes in a powder form here. We have some energy gels. I'm gonna take probably 2, about 30 minutes before the race, and then about halfway through when we get to the rowers, I'll have another one. So.
And I'm gonna do energy gummies. I just can't stand the consistency of the gel, so I'm gonna do same thing. I'll take some before and take some during, but just in the gummy form. And then also Celsius this morning instead of coffee, because we need some type of energy. I know. Are you ready for the baby race?
Tell me what you got for breakfast. So I got eggs, waffles, bananas, big bite.
Oh my God, I'm just playing with them now, yeah. Oh my God, what she saying, say it loud, yeah. I can't respect it, I'm in the gym, but I am not flexing. Came from a Ford, I'm needing a Lexus. Shooting like Luke, I told him I'm next, shit. Oh my God, I'm just playing with them now, yeah. Oh my God, what she saying, say it loud, yeah. I can't respect it, I'm in the gym, but I am not flexing. Came from a Ford, I'm needing a Lexus. Shooting like Luke, I told him I'm next, shit.
back in LA. This is a couple days post Hyrox. All in all, how are you feeling?
I feel good. I'm not as sore as I thought I would be. I was mostly fatigued, which is to be expected after a race like that, but not like achy or anything like that.
Yeah, and I was actually surprised because for y'all that don't know, she has lupus, and it takes her a little longer to recover, especially from like heavy duty exercise. So I was actually surprised to see that she wasn't like flaring up and stuff.
Hurting.
All in all, we had a great experience. Hyrox Houston was definitely something that we're going to remember for a lifetime.
Wow.
And you know, for us, this was huge because we haven't ever gotten the opportunity to, let alone see each other compete in something, but also we got a chance to compete together, which was super cool for us. We posted a little snippet on our Instagram of just what it looked like, and a lot of you had a lot of questions. We're gonna give you our personal tips, experience-wise, and maybe we can kind of help you even decide if you even wanna do one.
Yeah, and maybe we can talk first about the training that went into it, how we prepped for it. So we both did a 12-week prep, but we both did different programs, even though we did a doubles as teammates, and even though we were doing that, we did a separate prep leading up to it. I was 15, 16 months postpartum when we started training, and I hadn't fully gotten into like intense training yet postpartum. I'd been working out for sure, but I hadn't trained for anything. And so we purposely did different programs because we were at different fitness levels when we started. Hyrox is half running. And so I hadn't been running really postpartum. I'd go do like jogs, but I hadn't pushed myself. So we both did 2 separate 12-week training programs. I think mine, I probably did anywhere from 2 to 4 days of running. It kind of increased more as the program went on. And some of those were standalone runs. Some of them were compromised with strength. And then I had 2 to 3 strength days per week as well. So I was training anywhere from 5 to 6 days a week. It was definitely strategic recovery in there, but there was some type of training 5 to 6 days a week.
My program, again, was about 12 weeks. The first 4 weeks was focused on pure strength. I did maybe 2 days of just getting into running, because that's another thing. I think a lot of people, if you haven't run before, you don't just want to jump into it, right? You're gonna tax your body. And you kind of learn a lot of deficiencies that you have when you start running. So if you just hop out the gate running 3-4 times a week, you know, you might have some areas where you might be tight. You might not have the mobility that you need. So I kind of ramped up my running as I went on. So the first 4 weeks was focused on just pure strength, a little bit of running. The second 4 weeks was focused on strength endurance. So not just doing heavy weight, doing heavy to moderate weight for a lot of reps. And then I ramped up my running to about 3 days a week. And then the last 4 weeks was focused on compromised running. So strength endurance plus that compromised running, just to kind of get a feel of what the Hyrox sort of load is, right? So, we're gonna give you some tips as to some things that we think you should focus on, whether you're doing your first Hyrox or you've done one already and you just need some guidance as to what to really focus on or what's important going into the race. That way you'll feel a lot more confident when you do get to race day. So number one, which I think is the most important, is nutrition and hydration, right? Because it doesn't matter how fit you are. It doesn't matter how much prep you've done leading up to training. If your body isn't properly fueled, if you don't have the hydration, you're not going to perform well. One tip I would give you is to eat very familiar foods leading up to the race, right? You don't want to put something into your body that you haven't eaten already. I've seen a lot of people who took some supplements right before a race that they weren't used to, and they ended up feeling bad, some stomach discomfort, right? You want to keep everything pretty familiar with your body. So when you get to race day, you feel confident, you feel good knowing that the foods that you've been eating are something that has fueled your workouts in the past. So. Yeah,
and kind of piggybacking off the nutrition to that point, making sure that you're fueling yourself during your training as well. So one question that we got asked a lot, or specifically for me, and I think just being a female, was how much weight did you lose during the training? Because like I said, 5 to 6 days of training a week, that's a lot of training. I gained 2 pounds, but I got leaner, which means I did lose some body fat, but that wasn't the focus. My focus was to fuel for my training. And like you mentioned, I have lupus, and so it takes me a while to recover sometimes. And part of recovery is your nutrition. It's your sleep. It's that mobility and stretching and things like that. So that nutrition being a big factor for the recovery made sure that I was able to complete the 12-week program and not have to skip workouts because I'm not recovered. I was definitely eating in a caloric surplus. I'm also still breastfeeding, and that was a huge thing as well because that takes more energy. So I really had to focus on my nutrition in terms of eating enough so that I could make sure I could properly recover and then not have to skip workouts because I'm achy or hurting, you know.
Basically what we're saying is eat for performance and not, I mean, for aesthetics, right?
Exactly.
If you're trying to really compete in Hyrox, like it's not about looking good. It's about putting foods into your body, fueling yourself in a way that's going to help you perform at your absolute best.
If your goal is to lose body fat during this time, you're probably going to gain some muscle.
I gained
helps.
4 pounds
Yeah.
throughout this entire day, and I was running a lot. That's the thing.
Yes.
A lot of people think, oh, I'm running a lot, I'm doing a lot of cardio, I'm going to lose some weight. I gained a lot of weight.
Yes, same.
Which is a good thing.
And it was a good thing, exactly.
Yeah.
And so now we're both going to take a little time where we can focus on losing some body fat before we prep for our next one. But again, I would say, I guess one of my tips is I wouldn't use this as a program to help you lose body fat just because it's intense training, because the nutrition that it takes to fuel is going to require you to probably eat in more of a caloric surplus. And not to say that you can't be in a deficit. I just feel like for me personally, being in a surplus is what helped me fuel to be able to perform my best.
Yeah, if anything, your body composition will change.
Absolutely, which is a very good thing.
That's a good thing. That's what you want to focus on. And number 2, which honestly might be just as important as number 1, as far as training for Hyrox, you got to run.
Yeah.
If you don't like running, you're not going to like the Hyrox. That's just like being straight up. Hyrox is probably, I would say, 60% running. And you can be as strong as you want to be, but if you're not a good runner, you're not going to be the best Hyroxer.
It is a ton of running, and the breaks that you think you're getting, your heart rate's still up. So it's not really like if you're doing sprints and you're like sprint, rest. It's not the same rest, you know? And so it is mostly running. Like that's one thing we can drill into your head. It's mostly running.
Another tip I would have is do a lot of your running while you're compromised. So do your running after your lift. So if you're doing a lift day where maybe you're lifting for 20 to 30 minutes, you're doing a lower body day, upper, or a full body day, do your runs honestly right after your lifts if you can, because that's going to simulate, you know, those legs being tired after you finish a 1K. You just did a sled push, right? It's going to simulate some things that's more realistic as you go into the Hyrox.
One thing a tip that I have if you're doing doubles is practice your transitions, because like, for example, the lunges, if we wouldn't have practiced it that way, I don't think we would have been able to do that on the fly. So we did the transition where you put your head in the back and then kind of roll the sandbag off. And if we wouldn't have practiced that, I would have just like lifted it off and handed it to him, and that takes way more time and energy. And so those are things I'm glad that we practiced beforehand. And then to that point, having a strategy, but being loose with it. So we had strategies for each station of like, okay, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, you're gonna do this, and this is where we're gonna come in. But there are things that happened where he was gonna start the farmer's carry and he caught a quad cramp right before it. And he was like, you go first. And I was like, okay, I picked up the kettlebells and I went. So being able to adapt to the strategy that you have. So I'm glad that we did a few run-throughs of our strategy. Even though it looked a little bit different, it was a quick like, hey, this is what we're planning. And then he was like, no, you go. Perfect. I pick it up and I go. And we just flipped it.
And if you're doing doubles, communicate. You know what I mean? I think that helped us a lot with, you know, I told her during the run, like, I feel some quad cramping coming on. I might need you to start. And then she went into it prepared.
Knowing.
I didn't tell her, like, right before we got to the farmer's carry and abandoned the plan. And then mentally, it kind of messes you up. Right? Because those mental errors take seconds away. And if the whole point is doing this Hyrox as fast as you can, you don't need sort of those mental errors. So just communicating throughout just kind of helps.
It's a big deal.
And then lastly, this kind of ties back to nutrition. And she mentioned my quad cramp like right before the farmer's carry, which is after the rower, right? So one thing I would personally do different, you know, if y'all haven't noticed from the video, Toya doesn't really lose a lot of water. She doesn't sweat that much. I do. I lose sweat like with probably the sled pulls when I started like pouring down, like sweating. So one thing I would do differently is hydrate a lot better during the Hyrox. And they did a great job. Houston, the volunteers did a great job of having those hydration stations. They had water, they had electrolytes, and they had Red Bull, which I did not mess with. One thing I wish I did have those gels that I showed you before the race. I took one after the rower, which was a little bit too late for me because my body it needed that fuel a lot.
You'd already been feeling kind of, the cramp was coming at that point.
And I started to feel a lot better. Everything started to kick in when we got to the lunges, and then the wall balls, I felt like Superman. So if I could redo it, I probably would have had a gel after the pulls, and I probably would have did another one maybe before or after the farmer's carry to kind of carry me throughout the race.
And I feel like that's one of those things that you have to go through it and learn it, and now now you know, because when are you training like this, like that, you know, all out for an hour and 10 minutes, you know, to where you know that. So now you know. And
I think I didn't think I would lose that much sweat because it was cold.
It was freezing
in the venue. Like it felt like it was like 50 degrees. So it actually surprised me that I sweat that much.
Yeah.
But so just kind of prepare hydration and fuel throughout the race to kind of carry you through so that you're just not compromised with cramps and other, even just injuries in general. So.
And one last point to that, speaking of like the hydration and stuff before the race of what you're eating that. So our race was at 12. And so we purposely, in which we talked about this, you know, during the breakfast, but we purposely didn't have a ton of fiber or protein because we didn't want to be digesting during the race, which would slow you down or maybe like cramp your stomach a little too. So all of that is important. Like right before we raced, I had some honey, some rice cakes, like some quick digesting carbs. So I actually felt very good during the race in terms of energy. And so I think just like he said, he sweats a lot more. So learning, what do you need? What are you losing? Where do you need to replace your electrolytes? And when is your race? If you're racing at 6 p.m., your nutrition throughout the day is going to look a lot different than ours did, right? So just really taking that into account too in terms of when you're racing and what you're going to need to fuel during the race too.
And the last and final tip, which I think it's important to a certain extent performance-wise, and that's your gear. And honestly, specifically the shoes. So y'all saw my beautiful red shoes that I wore during the Hyrox. Those are the Lululemon split shifts, and those have been honestly, some of my favorite running shoes, especially training wise over the last 8 to 10 weeks. Choose some shoes. Choose some shoes that you can run it and comfortably in. This is 60% running. You don't want to run in like lifting shoes. You're going to be in pain, right? So you want to run in some shoes that are comfortable, they're responsive, they're stable, and last but not least, you want shoes that have some grip on the bottom. Because if you're pushing the sled, you're pulling the sled, you want to make sure you're gripping the floor and not slipping out. I've seen a lot of people wear shoes that don't have grip on the bottom. They're slipping. Their shoes are coming off during the race, and that's the last thing you want to deal with, right? You want to feel like all the gear that you have is going to actually help you perform better. So
for me, I wore the Pegasus, and for me, I feel like I wish I would have gone with a different shoe. The Pegasus was great, and I've run in Pegasus for like 10 years now. I love running in Pegasus, but I feel like I could have used a little bit more support on the runs. That's why I went with the Pegasus, and I think when we do our next one, I'll go with a different shoe, and I've got, you know, a ton of time to figure that out. But like he said, those are the main important things, and I feel like I got all of that with the Pegasus. I just feel like for the running, I could have used a little bit more cushion.
Any shoe that you choose, be sure that you train in it, right? That's something, you don't want to change your shoes 2 days out or a week out, right? You want to choose a shoe that you've been training in, you're comfortable with, and going into the race day, you know what you're going to get out of it. Here's one thing I will say, some of the downsides of the Hyrox, at least in this particular competition, that we want you to account for. It might not be the same from location to location, but one of the biggest downsides to this Houston Hyrox that we did not prepare for was how crowded it was, right? You had people who were doing doubles. You had people who were doing singles from previous heats, right? And we didn't really account for all the weaving. Like I literally felt like I was in a football game, juking people trying to get around, and then your partner has to stay within a certain arm's distance from you. So I was like constantly like looking back, make sure Toya was with me.
And there'd be times too that we're like, okay, the last lap we're gonna go faster, and we'd go to speed up, and someone in front of you would literally stop and start walking, right? And so you're like, oh, excuse me, move. Like, and it is, I did not account for that at all. When we were doing our simulations, we were like, go, run,
just go. Honestly, a lot of our runs were like in the middle to outside. Like we were trying to stay. There were some people that were like moving.
Sprinting.
They were sprinting, and we stayed out of the fast lane. We used the fast lane to pass people, but there were some people that were really trying to clock.
I think, what is it, a 4-minute kilometer or faster in the fast lane?
They were moving. So we were essentially running in the middle to outside lane. So we might have even been running longer than a kilometer.
Right.
Just think about running a
like
400 meter in lane 8. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it felt like. So
all in all, my experience, it's extremely fun. The energy was contagious. Like, shout out to the judges, because even in some of the pictures we got back, you can literally see the judges. Like one of them, like I'm on the rower and she's over me, like clapping, like cheering you on. So the energy is great. Like shout out to the 2 women who gave me a pep talk during the lunch. I mean, they were literally in my ear, like, come on, girl, you got this. Strangers, complete strangers. And it's just like that type of energy. Love it.
So we hope you enjoyed this vlog. We hope you enjoyed just kind of this insight as to what our experience was like with Hyrox. We're gonna get in some recovery. We're happy to be back home We had a great experience, but we want to kind of get back into our normal routine next week. This week, we're just going to focus on recovering. So we're going to do a quick little recovery stretch. I said, well, you know what? How about you join us for a stretch? How about that? You're not doing anything. You're just sitting on the couch, right?
Watching a vlog.
You know
Yeah,
hey.
just take like 5 to 10 minutes, get in some good recovery.